How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Hack/Fame Monster. This is a pretty fun story. In this one, Cassie develops a psychic link to a killer going after pop stars, but because this link is happening in her dreams, she basically knows that it's the return of Ashley from the start. But what she doesn't know is about Ashley being reborn as stillborn, and now we get the Nephlords coming in a very interesting and different way. Back when we first saw them, back with 6-6, it was a lot about old school rock and roll and selling yourself for fame and stuff like that. And now it's about pop music. It's sort of like what music was like then versus now. And it's funny because the book kind of says rather than old school deals with the devil, now we have new school deals with like large corporations and going after fame, and you know, maybe there's some parallels there. So it is interesting to see the Nephlords reinvented in this way. Obviously we have a ton of humor with like pop culture and celebrity jokes and stuff like that, and I do think that was really fun. I will say, for as big an issue as this is with the Nephlords, I was expecting a little bit more of a direct confrontation. I am curious if we will get that in a later issue. I would love to see Cassie bash them with a giant baseball bat, but as it stands, reinventing how they first came into the comic with a good bit of humor and doing something different, like Cassie running around Madison Square Garden during a big concert, it is something different for the comic. It kind of like reinvents that dead celebrities segment from trailers. A very different story overall though, but I do like how maybe the ideas in trailers can ripple and change into some actual story. Still a cool idea and I do like it, but again, look for more humor than action, but still a fun story and a great sort of mirror to the first appearance, you know? Anyway though, without further ado, if you guys want to see a little bit more story and a little bit more art, no major spoilers, but if you want more of a breakdown and an analysis, let's go ahead and switch to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at Hack/Fame Monster. Once again, we're inside Omnibus 4, and let's pull this closer to the camera. Looking inside the credits, we can see that Fame Monster takes place over issues 6 through 8, and we have art by Daniel Leister, who is the new series regular, essentially. And then flipping to the front cover, we can see that Leister also did this front cover, and it's this pretty fun gag where Cassie and Vlad are bombarded by the paparazzi, and behind them you can see a bunch of articles about people from the comic. A pretty interesting and different cover, gets the point of the issue across. And they even copied her and put her in all the little camera screens. That's pretty cool. After that, let's get into the story proper. I'm not going to do any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points and do a bit of analysis. I'll be avoiding the end, though. Anyway, after that, we open up with this pop singer called Art Project, and her songs are kinda silly, but they do reference a bunch of art history, and there's a bunch of fun little details. She's just a prologue character, she's only in here for like 3 pages, but they do a good job at establishing who she is as a pop singer, with this fun reveal where it turns out this was all like a college project that got out of hand, and she's talking to her professor about it. However, we soon cut to a point-of-view killer stabbing her all Michael Myers style, and Art Project becomes the first of the pop stars to die. After that, Cassie wakes up, and it turns out that what we just saw was Cassie's dream. She had a dream from that first-person point of view where she went to the concert, snuck backstage, and killed the pop star. She wakes up to find Vlad watching junky pop star news just for comfort, and as she explains the dream, the news will of course actually say that this happened in real life, and Cassie is going to freak out. And I love how after a minute they say, okay, let's calm down. We know this is probably Ashley, even though we thought he was dead. Granted, Cassie doesn't know Ashley's been reborn as stillborn, but we get her talking and saying, oh, I don't want to do another one of these dream things, but let's try to figure out the clues and figure out who the next target is. She will get a few more visions from from Ashley as stillborn, and yeah, he's got a good creepy design there, and of course they start to wonder, is he sending these on purpose? Does he want me to follow him? Well, it turns out there's this big concert, Celebs for Celebs. Yeah, the idea the celebs are throwing a benefit concert for other celebrities, but this is of course the ones that have fallen on hard times and have addictions and stuff, but yeah, we can see the parody here, but this is probably where all the new killings are going to take place. Vlad's stuck in traffic in New York. Cassie burst out of the van fearing there's not much time and crashes the hotel where the celebrities are staying at. It turns out that it's too late for one of the celebrities, and when she tries to warn the next in line, turns out he has pretty good security and she's going to get tased, so Cassie's going to be out of commission for a while. I guess it's going to be harder to get to celebrities than it is just random teens in a slasher movie, and then of course figuring out what exactly Ashley's plan is. She's got a lot to do, even though she's going to be confined for a little bit. Why they're separated, there's a fun scene where two assassins come after Vlad, but Vlad says the city is his element, so he actually has an advantage here, and we're gonna get a super cool fight inside this junkyard, a really cool Vlad scene. Of course we get lots of build up to the other celebrities, lots of fun celebrity jokes in here, and of course it's all gonna end with a really cool big concert sequence, and I do like this. When you saw stuff with 6 back in the day, it was old school rock and roll stuff, so to take on modern pop music in this way is a fun reinvention to what we started. Obviously we know that Ashley's working with the Nephlords now, so it's not a spoiler to say that they're in this comic, but yeah, to get to see them sort of focus on pop culture and try to reach more worship and adoration, I think that's a pretty fun commentary, and again, lots of funny celebrity jokes. And of course, while this is all going on, we do have a bit of a B-plot, where it looks like Kat Kirio finally catches Pooch following her, and we get the start of this team-up. And yeah, I do like how Kat Kirio's all sweet and innocent, and then you have Pooch there and all the crazy stuff he'll say, but it turns out these two characters get along, and Kat really loves him. A funny pairing there. But anyway, I have to say that Hack/Fame Monster is pretty fun. I really like how it does bookend the start with 6 and transition into something different, still talking about how the Nephlords manipulate music, but sort of talking about what music's like now. I think that's an interesting concept. And to get to see this big story where Cassie's running around Madison Square Garden, a good bit of humor with the celebrities, yeah, I think this one's pretty fun. It's not necessarily like a big battle issue, which I am kind of curious if the Nephlords will come back, if we will get to, smack them in the face with baseball bats or something, but still, a really interesting story, and I can definitely recommend it, just hanging out more on the funnier side this time around. All that being said though, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Hack/ playlist. If you want to see me talk about a lot of the past plot arcs, you should be able to find them in there. Anyway, have a good day. See you guys again very soon. Playlist here. Have a good day now.